Greetings from the Maldives. First of all, may I thank Amnesty International volunteers and friends and Fridays for the Future advocates in Göttingen for this opportunity to provide some insights from the Maldives about some of our ongoing environmental concerns. My name is Hume, and I'm a volunteer for the Save Maldives campaign, which is a citizen action group that came together in 2017 in response to the planned destruction of one of the largest wetland and mangrove ecosystems in the north of the country to build an airport. This was done by the Maldivian government. We were not able to stop that ecocide, but since then we have been advocating to stop the irreversible destruction of natural ecosystems because they are the natural defenses of the country. So we are committed to stopping ecocide in the Maldives. The world knows the Maldives as a luxury tourist destination, which is an island paradise full of the beauty of nature above and below the ocean surface. It is well known for its white beaches, turquoise lagoons, its colorful reefs, and its wonderful marine wildlife. German tourists make up nearly 6% of the Maldives' market share. Germany is sixth on the top tourist arrivals to the country. What we know is that most visitors to the Maldives are completely unaware of the environmental crisis taking place here and how unsustainable developments are impacting our living environment, local communities, and people's livelihoods. Almost all ecosystem destruction happening in the Maldives are caused by unsustainable human activities, hopelessly weak environmental policies, inability to implement laws, and extremely poor environmental governance. Globally, Maldives is recognized to be on the front line of climate change. The Maldives lies just a meter above sea level. We are very aware that global heating and melting glaciers are causing sea levels to rise. The UN IPCC Sixth Assessment Report predicts that global heating to 1.5 degrees would have serious impacts on our coral reefs. Global heating will have catastrophic impacts on the living coral foundations of the Maldives. We also know that the global movement to address climate change is growing. The Maldives is among the countries that are most concerned about climate change at international forums. But the government of Maldives has a different agenda at home. This is our problem. Ecosystem degradation and destruction is happening business as usual in the country on a daily basis. Dredging and reclamation to create artificial resorts have become the new development trend. Many luxury international hotel chains are creating artificial islands by reclamation, which destroys nature and the living marine ecosystems. This practice is also causing widespread deforestation in local communities. We call this tree grab. Resort developers are buying vegetation from both public and private land to green these artificial resorts. Authorities consistently fail to stop this loss and damage to livelihood resources of communities. What the resorts then do is to greenwash and market these artificial islands as natural. I would like to share with you today two examples of planned ecocide happening now in the Maldives. The first example is Atoll. In 2020, Atoll, which is located in the far south of the Maldives, was declared a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. The atoll has several marine protected areas, including one of the most historic wreck diving sites in the country, called the British Loyalty Shipwreck. This site was declared a marine protected area in 2018. Another marine protected area in Atoll is the Manta Point. this is a location where mantas gather throughout the year. Addu Atoll is also home to one of the largest wetlands and mangrove ecosystems in the country, which is the Addu Nature Park, which is also a protected site. Earlier this year, the Government of Maldives made plans to reclaim Addu Atoll using all the atoll's sand deposits. The project requires 7 million cubic meters of sand, which is equivalent to 465 football pitches piled 2 meters high. There is not enough sand in Addu Atoll for the project, so they plan to get more sand from the neighboring atoll. This will have negative impacts on that atoll. The local and national governments are doing this to make land, to develop artificial resorts, to improve tourism development in the area. Artificial resorts basically destroy existing lagoons and reefs through reclamation and dredging work. So effectively, they create biodiversity dead zones. We know from the project environmental impact assessment that massive damage will be done to Addu Atoll from this project. Several marine protected areas in this biosphere reserve will be damaged and destroyed irreversibly. The atoll will lose 21 hectares of reef and 120 hectares of seagrass meadows. These are the real natural defenses of the atoll and its islands. Large-scale reclamation is often done using foreign loans and public debt. The Addu Reclamation Project is being done with loans from the Exim Bank of India in collaboration with Global Dredging Corporation, Van Oord of Netherlands. I'm not sure what tourist would want to come to see dead reefs and a lifeless marine environment, but this is the new tourist resort model in the Maldives. In my opinion, the destruction of Addu Atoll will undermine the climate resilience of the whole atoll in the short and long term, because the project will completely destroy the atoll's natural defenses. The Save Maldives campaign has an online petition on change.org calling on the authorities to stop the destruction of Addu Atoll and save Addu Biosphere Reserve. I hope you will take a moment to sign this petition. My second example of ecocide in the Maldives at the moment is the Gulifalu Project. In 2019, the Government of Maldives decided to build a port on Gulifalu Reef and Lagoon near Male, the capital city of the Maldives. The port project is to relocate the existing port in Male and expand the port. The Gulifalu project will cause irreversible ecological degradation to the North Male Atoll because the project will mine sand from an area of about 14 square kilometers. The project is estimated to use 20 million cubic meters of sand, which is equivalent to 1,328 football pitches at 2 meters high. The project will cause the extinction of Hans Haas Place, also known as Kiki Reef, which is a marine protected area since 1995 with significant biodiversity. The project plans to fill the deep lagoon of Gulifalu, which is about 22 meters deep. This would be the deepest reclamation to date in the Maldives. The Maldives Marine Research Institute expressed their concerns about the unknown impacts of reclamation in such inaccessible and deep areas and the challenges to monitoring. The project threatens the only natural reef in the Greater Male area, which is freely accessible to the people in the Greater Male area, which is the largest population in the country. The project threatens to negatively impact around 30 dive sites in North Male Atoll and many house reefs of the existing resorts in the area. My biggest concern is that the Gulifalu project will further undermine the atoll seabed and its safety due to the extensive sand mining and extraction. A scientific modeling study done in 2021 says that the seabed in this area has been significantly impacted by coastal modifications and has already sustained negative changes as a result. I believe this undermines the climate safety and security of Male, which is the most populous city in the country. Because of all these concerns, I, as a citizen, have lodged a case at the Civil Court of Maldives to stop the project, to protect and conserve Gulifalu and the marine environment it threatens to destroy. I have a website to document the case, but it is currently in Maldivian language, Divehi only. Although the case is pending in court, the Government of Maldives is continuing to move ahead with the project. A few days ago, on 16 June, the Maldives government announced it is taking a 101 million euro loan from 3 European banks, the ABN AMRO Bank of Netherlands, the aka European Export Trade Bank of Germany, and the ING Bank of Netherlands, to fund the Gulifalu Ecocide. The dredging contractor for the project is Boskalis Westminster. The Maldives Constitution in Article 22 says the following: the state has a fundamental duty to protect and preserve the natural environment, biodiversity, resources and beauty of the country for the benefit of present and future generations. The state shall undertake and promote desirable economic and social goals through ecologically balanced, sustainable development and shall take measures necessary to foster conservation, prevent pollution, the extinction of any species, and ecological degradation from any such goals. So I believe we have a constitutional safeguard to protect the environment, which is not being upheld. I believe that both the Atoll reclamation project and the Gulifalu port project fit into the definition of acts of ecocide. In June 2021, the global movement to make ecocide an international crime produced the definition of ecocide. It says, ecocide means unlawful or wanton acts committed with knowledge that there is substantial likelihood of severe and either widespread or long-term damage to the environment being caused by those acts. In my opinion, the planned destruction of Atoll and the Gulifalu Reef and Lagoon are wanton acts committed with the knowledge of a substantial likelihood of severe and widespread damage to the environment. The environmental impact assessment for both projects provide indisputable evidence of the irreversible and widespread damage both these projects will cause. When we look at acts of ecocide taking place around the world, what is happening in the Maldives may be small in scale. But most of the small islands of Maldives are being subjected to ecological degradation. So the cumulative effect of hundreds of acts of ecocide, I would say ecocidal self-harm against our living natural defenses, is yet to be understood. So I believe that the impact of ecocide on nature in Maldives is extremely significant. As I mentioned earlier, Maldives is on the front line of the climate crisis. I believe that the daily acts of ecocide by the Government of Maldives must be stopped so that we can try to safeguard the country's natural resilience and adaptive capacity to climate change, insecurity, and disasters. Once again, I wish to thank you for your interest in the Maldives and its environmental concerns. I thank you for listening and also for your activism to promote the protection of nature everywhere. I walk with you. I shall leave you with Dr. Vandana Shiva's timeless and inspiring words. In nature's economy, the currency is not money, it is life. In der Natur betrachten wir sie als Ökonomie, ist die Währung nicht Geld, sondern Leben an sich. I thank you.